Event number 4, heat number 1 on the second day of team competition at the 2024 CrossFit Games. Alongside the Masters CrossFit champion Annie Sakamoto, my name is Joel Godet, Lauren Smith, our eyes and ears down on the floor. 1 day of competition, 3 events yesterday, and we started with our 1-minute salute to the past Lazar Đukić, allowing mayhem. Lazar Đukić for so long, a CrossFit mayhem athlete, out in front. They wound up taking the heat and event victory. Fast forward to event 2, it was CrossFit Oslo Krieger Riz. That is a huge engine and endurance team that out of heat 2 picked up the victory. And then there's never been an oceanic team on the podium. How about CrossFit Torian? They win event 3, and on day 1 pick up a 2nd place, 4th place, and 1st place to put themselves on top of the leaderboard overall. It's a 12-point advantage. I can't do math. That's an 8-point advantage over CrossFit Mayhem. Raw Iron CrossFit Mayhem Thunder is in 3rd, and then CrossFit Oslo Krieger Blast is 47 points off of the podium. All right, Andy, let's talk about what we're looking at here in event 4. The Earthworm is back.
There it is, and the teams will do 20 earthworm cleans and then 60 handstand push-ups between the 4 of them on 2 different stations. So it's actually 120 handstand push-ups. They'll move back to the earthworm, perform 20 cleans, and then back to the wall. This time strict handstand push-ups. The reps drop down to 40 per station, 20 earthworm cleans. This is where it's going to get interesting, Joel. Each athlete has to perform 10 freestanding handstand push-ups in 5 rep increments. Time cap of 15 minutes. This high skill 10 freestanding handstand push-ups, I assume, is going to be the bottleneck for a lot of these teams.
Well, you just said it, high skill. Talk about our steps to success. How do you get through it?
The first one is going to be handstand push-up management on the front end. So on those kipping handstand push-ups, on those strict handstand push-ups, if you've ever done them, you know that if you overdo them, you are in a massive deficit. So you need to make sure that you're managing them between team members. And then on those freestanding handstand push-ups, you have to utilize the tripod. If you try to put that head straight in between those arms, it is not going to work.
We have a field of 8 teams in this opening heat. CrossFit Marvel is in lane 2, qualifying out of the Asia semifinal. CrossFit Oslo Pixel in lane 5, one of the 3 Oslo teams. CrossFit Oslo, one of the biggest boxes out of Norway, which has become one of the biggest countries for CrossFit outside of the United States. The Rhino CrossFit Dogs are captained by Raf Durand, though. There he is, right dead center of your screen. He was on the demo team for CrossFit back in 2021, and at the CrossFit Ranch, shattered his wrist on a clean. The injury was so bad that doctors told him he would never walk on his hands again. Not only does he do that, he is back at the CrossFit Games, and he's about to do a whole heck of a lot of handstand push-ups. Lauren Smith caught up with him.
30 seconds.
Thanks, Joel. I absolutely did. We had a very intimate conversation yesterday about what it actually means to him to be back on the competition floor. And he said it's all about the team. And I think especially in the time that we are currently experiencing this competition, it couldn't be more prevalent. The support system and the family that the Rhino team have is all the more important today.
Lauren, thank you. Raf Durand is one of those athletes that competed at the Games back in Carson as well. He was on the team for NorCal CrossFit Redwood that finished 4th back in 2017. He was a replacement on that roster for some guy named Jason Kalipa. I don't know if you've ever heard of him.
Yeah, not big shoes to fill at all, right, Joel? No pressure on Raf to fill those shoes.
All right, so we are underway with the Earthworm. The worm is dead. Long live the Earthworm here. This is a more interesting evolution of the implement we've all come to know and love in CrossFit. 4 sections, 100 pounds are the female portions of the sandbags, 125 are the men's portions. You can see CrossFit Butcher's Lab again taking the 1-minute pause at the beginning of this heat in memory of Lazar Đukić. Got 20 of these earthworm power cleans from the ground up to the shoulder.
And
Andy, the hardest part about this is getting it off the ground. Now you got to do it repeatedly.
Right, and the athletes are going to do 10 in this first section, and then they'll walk the earthworm forward and do another 10. And if coordination of your team was ever paramount, this is a time when it's so important, because now, yes, the worm is connected by the rope, but each athlete has to clean their own weight. And you have to lift your own weight, and it wasn't always like that with the worm. You could kind of fudge who kind of lifted a little more and who lifted a little less. Here, everybody has to pull their part.
Butcher's Lab jumped out about 8 to 9 reps behind the rest of the field. They're on the top of your screen in lane 9. Oslo Krieger Pixel. Handstand push-up should be their jam here. Ingrid Tondal is this team's captain. She's the partner of Eyvindal Ringard, who was on the Oslo Navy Blue team last year. He's their coach. She is phenomenal at handstand push-ups. She's also coming off an appendectomy, though. 8 weeks of recovery immediately after semifinals. She was cleaning 60 kilograms back in July. Now she's at the CrossFit Games. Almost to the first round of handstand push-ups.
And you can see they all have that Đukić jersey on, and GoRuck made it known to all of the CrossFit athletes that are competing this weekend that if any of them wanted to wear a Đukić jersey, that GoRuck would make them a jersey. So I think you'll see a lot of athletes today choosing to don that jersey.
Especially out of the European region, which is such a tight-knit community. And it is Oslo Pixel, spelled PSL. Did joke with Ingrid Tondal that they were going to get called CrossFit Oslo Pumpkin Spice Latte, which gave her a good laugh. It's almost that time of year. All right, handstand push-ups here.
This first set is kipping handstand push-ups, or basically any way you want to. I'm going to assume most all teams will choose to kip. There are 2 stations that these 4 athletes are accumulating 60 reps on. Some part of their hand has to be on that white piece of tape that you see on the floor, Joel.
And look at Ingrid Tondal go in that black shirt center of your screen.
So fast.
You just have to get the reps done. They don't have to do split even. I wager a guess she's going to probably do the vast majority of that pair, although she kicks down and switches back.
Well, on handstand push-ups, it's important that you don't go to failure or even to fatigue, Joel, because this isn't a movement that if you go too far, you will not be able to recover from. And so these athletes are probably very deliberate in how they're splitting up the work, depending on where that fatigue factor lies for them.
There's a 15-minute cap on this event. We are 4 minutes in. And if you can bring
so fast
handstand push-ups back down to like the affiliate level here for me, because I feel like when people walk into a CrossFit gym, this is one of those movements that they would say, I can't do that. Why can they?
Well, I think that there is a massive amount of strength and skill that needs to be built. So as an affiliate owner, as a coach, I would never just throw somebody upside down and have them start doing kipping handstand push-ups. It's a sexy movement for sure. It's something that a lot of are going to want to do. But again, there's a significant amount of strength that every athlete should have before they do attempt to do a kipping handstand push-up. One of the first things, though, that is really great as an affiliate owner, as a coach, is to just get somebody upside down. There are so many people out there that have not been inverted on purpose in a really long time, and that's probably one of my favorite things, is to just get somebody upside down for the first time.
The first handstand kip up or kick to the wall.
Yep.
Second round of the earthworm power cleans here. 20 of them, again, advancing every 10 reps.
Here's what I love about this event, Joel. There's a huge team element to it. Obviously, right here, we see these teams having to work together on the worm. And then there's a great team element where they get to share the reps on the handstand push-ups. But then there's also an individual contribution element. And that means that each teammate has to pull their own weight by doing the freestanding handstand push-ups that we're going to see at the very end of this event.
3 more reps before advancing here for Oslo Pixel. Leon Wagenacht is at the front. Andreas Updahl is behind, joined by Ingrid Tondal and Veshlemoy Kolstad. This is CrossFit Training Think Tank, captained by Jordan Adcock, multi-time teams athlete. Also made her games debut back in Carson. She's at the back of this earthworm.
It's important to note, Joel, there are cuts looming after the next event today. So these teams have got to do well if they're going to move from this third heat to that final heat.
As originally structured, we were supposed to cut down to 10 teams for tomorrow, operating under the assumption that that's still going to be the case. Oslo leads the pack here in our opening heat of 3. 20 more teams still to go. If you're in this opening heat, though, and you're trying to get into the top 10, you gotta move. So points are at an absolute premium over the next couple of events.
I love what Butcher's Lab has said about their team, which is they're the strongest where the outcome is determined by the weakest. I think this is an event that is going to highlight who on your team is the weakest, who holds you up on those handstand push-ups. And it sounds like Butcher's Lab is confident in their ability to get through the work.
You want to build on that too, Andy. Butcher's Lab started a minute behind everybody. They have almost caught up to everybody. Let's go down to Lauren.
So I've been speaking to the Butcher's Lab crew over the last couple of days, and that 1 minute that they're continuing to do to pay homage to Lazar is just part of it. They have actively said this isn't a competition for them. This is a show of solidarity and a tribute to him, and I think there's something really special in that as well.
Butcher's Lab team currently 8 reps off the pace of Oslo Krieger Pixel, who's heading back to do more handstand push-ups. Andy, it's going to look a little bit different this time. Now we have 40, and they are strict. 40 handstand push-ups strict per station, so 80 total.
Right, and one of the things that the judges are going to be looking for here is that their legs stay straight while they're against the wall the entire time. So any bending of those knees and hips is going to be a no rep. This is definitely where these teams really need to manage their fatigue factors. So if you can only get 1 or 2, that's what you should get. It's when you really start to slow down and have to push hard, you need to get off the wall because your recovery is going to be so much greater if you take it to a point of failure.
15-minute time cap. We are past the halfway mark. After the 40 strict handstand push-ups, it's 20 more earthworm cleans and then 10 freestanding handstand push-ups. We'll talk about that more when we get there.
Little no rep there. I'll never forget Stacy Tovar in regionals one year. There was strict handstand push-ups, and while a lot of athletes were getting sets of handstand push-ups, Stacy chose to do singles. She would kick up, do a single, get back down off the wall, kick up, do another single. But because she never went to a point of failure, she did, I'm not going to say she won the event, but she did really well in that event with that strategy. And I think that's a smart strategy that some of these teams may want to think about.
40 strict handstand push-ups. We are at the middle part of this event. 3 rounds of handstand push-ups in an elevated level of degree as you move. Kipping, strict, and then freestanding.
Important to note, Joel, we have never seen freestanding handstand push-ups for teams at the CrossFit Games. So we're going to see which one of these teams has been doing their homework and practicing elements that, even though it hasn't been in team competition, could show up in team competition.
AR1 Mayhem Unity is the team at the bottom of your screen. Melina Rodriguez, their most decorated athlete, had the pink weight belt on. They are right ahead of Oslo Krieger Pixel right now. Victoria CrossFit also has a lot of work to do at the front of the pack. Came in 26th place overall. That AR team at the bottom of your screen came in 25th place. I know had higher hopes after qualifying second in the Copa Sur semifinal. came in with 8 previous CrossFit Games appearances. Melina Rodriguez and Maria Quintero having qualified as both the Argentinian and the Colombian national champions. Represented by 4 different countries that all moved to Argentina to qualify on that team. 3 more reps you can see for Pixel on the right side of your screen. Training Think Tank is in the yellow in the middle, out of Marietta in Georgia. They have 4 more reps, 1 more for Pixel. Third round of the earthworm. Advanced up for Oslo Pixel. They have 10 more, and then they are done with that implement for the remainder of this event. The time cap is going to start to loom here. It's 3 minutes away, and the most difficult or the most high skill movement is still ahead of these athletes.
Right, those freestanding handstand push-ups. And they're basically staring down their lane at those 2 sets of 5 pads that they're gonna have to hit with their head. If they miss a rep, Joel, they have to come down and start again. So if they get 4 and fall, they have to start over. It has to be 5 without their feet touching the ground.
So it goes back to your Stacy Tovar point where her strategy was 1 at a time. You don't have that option here. It's 5 at a time or you are starting again.
Exactly. But having said that, if they were smart on the wall earlier, the shoulder fatigue, they minimize their shoulder fatigue, which is going to help them out when they come to these freestanding.
155 reps in the bag for Oslo Krieger Pixel.
AR1 and Vittoria on their heels, though.
15-minute time cap is going to nip some teams here. Just 2 minutes away.
So this is where some strategy is going to come into play, Joel. You need to send whoever is going to be competent at these freestanding handstand push-ups, you need to send them through first because every rep is going to count when it comes to a tiebreaker.
90 seconds left. And finally, someone is going to get to the freestanding handstand push-ups. It is CrossFit Oslo Pixel. And this is smart. Take your time. Andreas Opsahl is going to be the first man to attempt. He is a full-time electrician, and he is going back to the start of the line.
This is something where if you need to take a second on your head, it's worth it.
Vegemel Kolstad with 1 more rep. She can go backwards. Good job to collect herself. And across the line, she's good. Interesting strategy point. Ingrid Tondel, who we talked about being their best handstand athlete, is last in the line. And Opsahl's going to go again. Remember, he was first.
Great job from Opsahl. So as long, that's totally legal, Joel. So as long as his feet don't touch the ground, great use of the tripod. He put his knees on his elbows to steady himself.
This is Kolstad, who finishes.
They have their 3rd athlete through the first section of handstand push-ups.
And the time cap hits with no one finishing all 10 freestanding handstand push-ups. But it is Oslo Pixel that makes their way furthest in the first heat of event number 4. Let's run it back to start things off on the earthworm. I gotta be honest, Andy, I like this thing.
Yeah. That's because you haven't put your hands on it, Joel. You could see this was definitely a huge coordination of effort, and it was Pixel that took the early lead on that earthworm. They did a great job walking it forward. Every 10 reps, they caught a lead, and then they kept that lead on the wall, doing a great job of not only the kipping handstand push-ups, but the strict handstand push-ups. And then it was here where they really made their move. Like you said, Kolstad being able to get through both sets of 5 freestanding handstand push-ups. That's 10 huge points on the board for Pixel.
Cap plus 12 is that number to beat, but plus 22 for AR1 and 23 by Rhino, who we talked about, and Victoria to follow. So the door is open for some teams to grab some points and make up some ground as we move into heat number 2. Team event number 4. It's heat number 2 inside Dickies Arena. Fort Worth, Texas, hosting the CrossFit Games for the first time here in 2024. No one finished in heat number 1, so an opportunity to get across the finish line and grab some points for 10 more teams. Alongside Annie Sakamoto, the Masters CrossFit Games champion, my name is Joel Godet. Lauren Smith, our reporter down on the floor. Our standings after one day of competition for the teams, dominated by CrossFit Mayhem. CrossFit Torian Mayhem, CrossFit Mayhem Mayhem, Raw Iron CrossFit Mayhem Thunder. CrossFit Mayhem's Instagram account was loving it this morning. If you went on social media, they are cleaning up in that programming camp. Event number 4, the Earthworm is back, Annie.
Right, and we're going inverted with that Earthworm. So these teams will perform 20 Earthworm cleans and then 60 handstand push-ups at 2 different stations, so 120 reps total, 20 more Earthworm cleans, and then back to the wall for 40 strict handstand push-ups at 2 different stations, a final 20 Earthworm cleans, and then here's the crux of this workout, 10 freestanding handstand push-ups per athlete. Time cap of 15 minutes.
Full list of 10 teams in this second heat. CrossFit Kima, led by Travis Williams, longtime Games athlete, more excited that he is competing, though, with 3 rookies. He was able to help them get to the Games this year. In lane 9, defending champion CrossFit Invictus is in lane 3. Invictus Unconquerable is actually higher on the leaderboard. The second team for the Sea of Green in lane 4. In lane 19 is the team from CrossFit Holistic and Luleå, Sweden. Admittedly, handstand push-ups is a worry for that bunch, so this is a big test.
Yeah, this is a damage control event for this team. Like you said, handstand push-ups hurt them at the semifinals, but they were 10th at Farrington last night, and they said that that was a surprise. What they need, Joel, is another surprise on this event.
And then CrossFit Querétaro, trying to be the best Latin American team. They're the first Mexican team to ever make it to the CrossFit Games, but the best Latin American team was 18th, Big Fins Recoleta, back in 2017. They're sitting on a potential cut line right now, 11th overall.
10 seconds. Stand by.
We are off to the Earthworm, starting things out with 20 Earthworm power cleans. This implement broken up into 4 individual sandbags, you can see tied together with a rope, 100-pound sections for the women, 125-pound sections for the men. We're joined now as well by Nicole Christensen, level 4 CrossFit trainer, the owner of CrossFit Roots in Colorado. You guys have an Earthworm out there?
We do not have an Earthworm. I definitely would want one of these new ones. It's too heavy.
Amen to that.
It does like 100 pounds, didn't it?
Yeah. Yep. The female sections are 100 pounds each, and the male sections are 125.
Yeah, I mean, I think you get fitter and you need heavier worms for these teams out there over a decade, but I don't know if I'd want one in the gym.
Nicole, I want to take you back to the point that Annie and I talked about in the first heat, and that was when it comes to handstand push-ups, a more advanced skill for people that get into CrossFit. Maybe they don't feel comfortable getting upside down, or they haven't done a handstand push-up before. From the experience of a level 4 trainer, how do you get somebody comfortable upside down to build the strength to do some sort of inverted U?
Yeah, I mean, I think it goes just with a lot of familiarity over time by coming consistently to CrossFit. So if you look at before they even get upside down, you got things like a push press and you got things like a strict press that they can start to develop some strength in that movement, and then slowly teaching them how to be able to go upside down. It might be as simple as putting your hands on the ground and doing a straight leg kick and just kind of moving through that for a bit, and slowly those little experiences turn into someone touching the wall for the first time. So, you know, at the end of the day, I like to think of the kipping handstand push-up as just the push press upside down. So it starts to kind of bleed together, I guess, over time.
There's CrossFit EXF, one of the 3 Oceania teams, 20th place overall. Their best finish was on the run outside and the bob push last night at Farrington Field. 14th overall. Nicole, they're a cool story too, because that's an affiliate that became an affiliate, started in the park after COVID. They were doing things with battle ropes, kind of had boot camp style classes, got to winter, they said, all right, we need to do this indoors, what are we gonna do? They opened a CrossFit affiliate. That's what this is about, how the community comes together.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that just warms my heart. I mean, I think about all the different stories you hear over the years of people starting in their garage, starting at a park, starting, you know, pulling equipment out of the back of a truck at a parking lot. And when it comes down to it, you know, you get the good thing going, and then it just blossoms into something that becomes an affiliate. And then, you know, look at them. They're here on the floor at the CrossFit Games.
How did Roots start?
Roots started out of our one-car garage back in 2009, and kind of a similar story. It was real cold in the garage in the winters, and we had a really great group of people, but you know, maybe wanted a little bit warmer environment, and so we took the plunge into trying to going to a different inside location, full location, I guess you could say, about 6 months later.
So we are on to the kipping handstand push-ups now. 60 at each station. They do not have to be divided evenly between these athletes, so you can lean on those that are more efficient at this movement, although certainly you don't want to tax them into oblivion here still, with strict handstand push-ups and freestanding handstand push-ups still on the horizon. And you look at the splits as compared to the opening heat, this group is faster.
Definitely, and we'll see. CrossFit Overtake was the first to the wall. 60 handstand push-ups, really 120 between the two teams is quite a bit. So let's see if they set out a little hot or if they're able to hang on to that quick lead.
This is Invictus Unconquerable, and that's actually Hannah Black on the wall right in front of you. Did not do a handstand push-up at semifinals. Similar situation, teams could divide the work. It's not a strength for her.
Right.
She looks fine.
She does right now, and maybe one of the strategies for Unconquerable right now is have her do some of the kipping handstand push-ups. I could see her maybe not doing any or many of the strict handstand push-ups. So again, a lot of ways that you can strategize this as a team, and that's kind of why I really like this event is you have choice as a team in this event.
CrossFit Levy is first back out to the worm at the 4:30 mark. The split from the first heat was that the second grouping of worm power cleans was done at 8 minutes and 2 seconds. I think we're going to blow that number out of the water here in heat 2.
I think you're right, Joel.
From 4:46, and they've got 19 reps to go. Ocean State Surge is a massive power output team on the left. Ethan Helbig's a former hockey goalie at the front of the line. The former Christine Middleton is at the back.
One of the strongest athletes. You corrected me yesterday. Not one of the strongest female athletes. One of the strongest athletes, period, in the field.
Holds the clean and jerk record in CrossFit competition. 5 minutes and 13 seconds ticking into this event. Again, the split was 8:02 from the first heat to get through this set of power cleans. It's one of the neat things when you look at CrossFit Games events, how it translates to the affiliate. What I think is cool in this particular test, it's a dealer's choice. And that's what a normal class is, too, when you do a team workout. What am I going to do? What are you going to do? How are we going to get through the hours?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the elements of this workout are very reflective of what you might see on a Saturday morning at an affiliate. You show up, you've got teams of 4, teams of 3, and everybody's got to navigate through the workout, figuring out how they can best contribute to what's at hand.
You just saw CrossFit Invictus Unconquerable kind of struggling with their worm. They were talking to their judge, so something's going on where they're either getting no reps. They look like they're struggling a little bit with that earthworm right now.
CrossFit Overtake and EXF are tied at the top, 90-91 reps. Keeping our eye on Querétaro, who came in 11th overall. Again, a potential cut line after today at the top 10 teams. Trying to be the best Latin American team in CrossFit Games history, and is the second youngest team in the field. 26 years old is the average for Querétaro there in 11th place. And 11-24 in 12th place with 2 athletes that had never competed at a semifinal coming into this year.
That's wild.
I actually had the chance to drop into that gym when we were working a level 4. They hosted it, and talk about one of the most beautiful gyms you have ever seen. If you guys get a chance, I mean, just gorgeous when you walk in these giant glass walls. Everything's like laid out so well. It's so clean. And these guys, these owners, they're tremendous people. I think Tyler's out there right now on the floor.
Yep, Tyler.
Yep. And Callie, his wife, has just been like so wonderful, so welcoming whenever we go down there. So it's a good one to drop into.
Here's another interesting thing about that team. Both Tyler Cook and Sydney Smith are really good at high skill elements. So this could be a good event for them because, again, it really does come down to those freestanding handstand push-ups.
You know, it's actually a funny story. They were actually practicing and trying to learn the freestanding handstand push-up at the lunch break when we were there.
Well, there you go.
And we'll see what the improvement's been like. Yeah. We'll see how it's going.
Once again, Overtake is the first team back to the wall off of those earthworm cleans.
Marco Coppola is just cruising with this team. The 2 men are starting out on the strict handstand push-ups, bottom left of your screen from CrossFit Overtake. And there's Invictus, the defending champions who came in with a huge ton of height. Josh Alshama was on last year's championship team. Lauren Fisher right behind has podiumed before for a CrossFit team back in 2019 with Invictus, and then the Smith couple, Chandler and Jesse. Now, we have to say this. There may be many reasons this week that teams are not performing to the standards they expected from themselves that have nothing to do with fitness. Yep. But you also know that they came into today wanting to really shoot for the stars.
I think so, but I think that's a really important point, Joel. I think, you know, a lot of teams, either their reason for being here has changed or the way that they're able to perform out there has changed. And it's very understandable. And I think a lot of these athletes are going through different emotions and feelings day by day and minute by minute. And so it's hard to see Invictus in that space, but it's definitely not a surprise.
Let's take a look here at CrossFit Levy.
You can see him not only drop the worm, but actually trip over that earthworm. They're all kind of piled up. The fatigue of everything is definitely setting in for Levy's right there.
It looked like CrossFit Kima. That's that group that Travis Williams has captained with 3 rookies. Talked about it during the walkout here in this heat. He said, for me, it's cool. I'm going back to the CrossFit Games. He's been here 5 times. But the coolest moment for him was to see 3 people that never have their names called.
Wow. So like you said, that was actually CrossFit Kima, and now it's Levy's and CrossFit Overtake back to that earthworm for the 3rd and final set of 20 earthworm cleans. 10 minutes through that 15-minute time cap.
Marco Coppola is the team's captain. He's up front, former affiliate owner at Overtake. Brooke the Hook, been around a long time. Brooke Haas in the back. A lot of strength. And then Randy Stevens is a master's athlete at 36 years old. She lives in Fort Worth. The team is staying with her this week.
Slumber party at her house, huh?
1 rep lead on CrossFit EXF and CrossFit Levy.
Both times overtake has been at the earthworm. They have come out ahead and onto the handstand push-ups first. So let's see if they can hold that pattern going into those freestanding. Right behind them, though, you see CrossFit Invictus. They're in desperate need of some points. I would imagine that they will do quite well at the freestanding handstand push-ups. Chandler Smith being an individual athlete for years.
Look at the splits from the first heat. 13:32 is when the worm work was done for your leader, CrossFit Oslo Pixel. That's still more than 2 minutes away. And overtake has 9 reps left. There's Marco Coppola up front. You can see him with the communication calling out each lift. He and Brooke Haas-Perigine were teammates back in the Grid League days. They are OGs in the CrossFit competition space. The Miami Surge.
I remember those Grid days.
Do you remember your head-to-head record against the Surge, Annie Sakamoto?
We made it to the finals. That's all I remember. It was us and Kotler's team. How come I just forgot? The Brawlers, the DC Brawlers.
Justin Kotler, the underdogs coach. There is CrossFit Querétaro. Again, we keep harping on where they sit. 11th place, and that's a tie-break 11th place. They have the same number of points as Prestanda.
So this is big that they do better than Prestanda in this event. But again, you cannot rush. You have to feel good going into these freestanding. Just a few more reps here for overtake. Looks like final rep right there for overtake. About a minute faster than CrossFit Pixel going into these freestanding handstand push-ups.
We talked about one of the younger teams competing. You're looking at the oldest team competing. 35 years old on average. Casey Strong, who's just finished chalking his hands, is the only guy that's not a Masters athlete on this team.
Wow.
That's impressive.
That says a lot.
Yeah, that says a lot.
What's that tell to you as an affiliate owner, actually, Nicole, that you've got people that are in their mid-30s, as if that's old, that are in their mid-30s that are still competing at a really high level?
I think it's just a testament to being smart about your training and moving well through the years and learning through things that don't go well, how to improve your movement, how to make changes. I mean, I think just looking at these athletes and the time and the effort and the training volume that they put in to get here, being able to sustain that once you go into your 30s, I think takes a lot more careful consideration of all the factors that go into that. So it's definitely a culmination of a lot of hard work right there.
Get a really high skill movement, freestanding handstand push-up.
Yeah, I think
how do you coach him through this?
How do you coach him through it? I mean, I think you look at, is there a different technique here? So he's not, we've seen a lot of athletes bringing their knees down, but here this is a true, he's just bringing the head down and going right up, and it might not serve him the best over time if he might need to pull out another strategy as he gets tired into the 3rd and 4th and 5th handstand push-ups by being able to find a little bit of that balance point like we're seeing there, where you're really coming down into the tripod and then pressing up. Bringing the knees down to be able to balance, might serve a lot of athletes pretty well in this.
Josh Alshama just moving. Chandler Smith has done these before.
Yeah.
He was an individual competitor when these handstand push-ups freestanding made their debut.
Yeah.
Well, and again, that is why I was talking about utilizing that tripod position, because you actually have a moment where you can balance.
Yes.
Oh,
otherwise,
huge thing.
You're under tension in your shoulders the entire time if you're not using that. And I think, I don't know how much of an impact the sandbag has, but being able to shoulder that clean, the shoulders are definitely feeling a level of fatigue in addition to the handstands.
It is a fight for reps. How about Sydney Smith for 11:24? She gets to the finish line. Chandler Smith, 2 seconds. Can he? He completes the work. He doesn't make it to the line.
So
he will get the credit for the reps. That wasn't the finish for the team.
173 reps was the score to beat from Pixel in the heat previous. That was cap plus 12. Oh, look at Tyler Cook, so excited right there.
So we know that they're good at freestanding handstand push-ups. They've got a beautiful affiliate. This is a great advertisement for CrossFit 1124.
So again, all these teams setting out to try to beat 173 reps total, starting with that earthworm and then just kipping handstand push-ups, 120 reps between all of them to share. It was CrossFit Overtake that overtook the lead early on, coming off the worm. But then it was CrossFit Levy's that was able to come off the wall first. You see CrossFit came out having a hard time on that worm, kind of dropping the bag and tripping over it. They need to reset. But it was Sydney Smith and those freestanding handstand push-ups, able to get all 10 of them, which was a huge move for 1124. Much needed points for them.
Got our final heat coming up. Nicole, thank you for coming by.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Nicole Christensen from CrossFit Roots, level 4 CrossFit trainer. Final heat for the teams in event number 4 is next. Dickies Arena here in Fort Worth, Texas, where Roman Reigns once defended the WWE Championship successfully against Edge.
Ooh,
yeah.
That's a good stat.
A lot of big things have happened here.
Yeah.
This year, it's the CrossFit Games, and it's team event for the final heat. The earthworm and some handstand push-ups. Annie Sakamoto, the Masters CrossFit champion. My name is Joel Godat. Lauren Smith, our eyes and ears down on the floor. Through our first day of competition, CrossFit Torian, CrossFit Mayhem, CrossFit Raw Iron, all Mayhem affiliates, they're doing really well for the weekend.
And 2 Aussies, 2 Oceania regions on that podium right now. That's a big deal for that Oceania region.
No Oceania team has ever finished better than 6th at the CrossFit Games. Inverted earthworm. How do we do it?
We're going to do 20 earthworm cleans as a team and then move over to the handstand wall, 60 handstand push-ups on 2 different stations. Back to that earthworm for 20 cleans, back to the wall for 40 strict handstand push-ups on 2 different stations. A final set of 20 earthworm cleans and then 10 freestanding handstand push-ups. Definitely the crux of this event. What are the steps? How are you going to be successful in this event? Well, the first thing is going to be handstand push-up management on the front end of this workout. So making sure that nobody goes to failure or even heavy fatigue. And then utilizing that tripod. We saw it in the heat before. Knowing how to hold that headstand position is going to be critical to getting those freestanding handstand push-ups.
Let's go down to our third member of our crew, Lauren Smith.
Thanks, Joel. I spoke to both the 2 girls who have completed the freestanding handstand push-ups. Firstly, we saw Vestleme Kolstad from that opening heat. She said that the biggest issue was the back pump, so stabilization upside down became much more of a factor. So you just needed to take a little bit of extra rest. And then Sydney Smith of 1124, her reaction to that was that she had to fall back so heavily on her gymnastic background experience, and not everyone has that. Long story short, take the rest.
Lauren, thank you. As we take a look at our 10 teams, full heat here with our Mayhem affiliates all in the middle, lanes 4, 5, and 6. Oslo has 2 teams, the Riz and the Blast, in lanes 2 and 7. But it's all about Peak 360 right now, sitting in 5th. They are looking for a big charge today.
Right, they have 48 points to make up to get themselves in podium position. This is a high skill event, and so this is a perfect opportunity for them to make up those points.
And a look at all of the Mayhem affiliates. Mayhem, Raw Iron, and CrossFit Torian will right now sit in podium position. This all starts on the earthworm with 20 earthworm power cleans, 4 individual sandbag sections, 100 pounds for the women, 125 pounds for the men. And you can see Peak 360 right in the center of your screen. Tola Maracanio at the front Lena Richter told us in the lead up to this competition they've practiced the earthworm by holding individual sandbags and standing as close to each other as possible.
That's good. They're 13 feet end to end on that earthworm, so it's important to be comfortable being right next to your teammate when doing those sandbag cleans.
The leaders' jerseys for CrossFit Torian. The red type and the red shorts. Captain Royce Dunn, Torian's head coach.
Oh, raw iron going for a little touch and go on those sandbag cleans. Very impressive. That's the first we've seen any team do that.
And I have to think back a couple of years. I think we saw that from CrossFit Reykjavik when Con Porter was with Annie Thorestadottir's team.
There you
that
go.
Finished fourth a couple of seasons ago, and Con Porter is at the front of the earthworm for raw iron.
It's a great strategy, I would assume, Joel, because if you have the fitness to do it, you don't lose tension. And if you look at those bags, it's really easy for them to get wiggly. So if you have the fitness to do a touch and go, that's a great strategy.
And smart little things, right? Cara Saunders just rearranged the worm before leaving, so it's set when she gets back.
And that's an individual athlete doing a team thing right there.
This is a team made of individual athletes. Question is how well they'll bond together. The answer, pretty darn well so far. Cara Saunders comes down.
Almost
James
looked like they
Newberry
were
up.
planning on doing that synchro. They were so in line with each other.
James Newberry competing at the CrossFit Games for the first time in the 2020s. He dates back to 2012, though, in qualification. Con Porter was injured last year. Emily DeRoy was at the games last year, but coming off an injury. Cara Saunders gave birth to her second child last year. So this is a team that is putting their fitness back to the test and passing with flying colors.
They have a sizable lead on a lot of these other teams right now.
Newberry kicks back up. Handstand push-ups are kipping, 60 at each station, 120 between the teams. They do not have to be divided evenly.
You see those two Australia teams back-to-back right there on that handstand push-up wall.
That's Zoe Jones of CrossFit Mayhem. She's working at the same stanchion as her partner, Sam DeMeester. Just got hit with a no-rep. As raw iron heads back to the worm, we'll come back to it when we get to the strict handstand push-ups, because I want to talk to you about the head placement and a little bit of the mechanics of how that movement works for its most efficiency.
Right.
But it is 20 more. And look at how the touch and go works. See how Con Porter's grasping his hands.
Kind of interlocks those fingers.
Miscommunication.
Yep.
DeRoy went down early.
Quick reset, though. Did a great job of just kind of settling, not panicking on that no rep.
Raw iron is 16 points out of the lead right now. Holding a podium spot. No team from Oceania has ever finished better than 6th. Most recently, CrossFit Selwyn. That was back in 2022.
Here comes Peak 360 back to their earthworm. Again, this was a team we expected big things from. 48 points back out of 5th place right now.
Peak 360 on the left of your screen, raw iron on the right side, and then Torian even further. Mentioned CrossFit Selwyn being the best Oceania team ever. Marnie Sykes on that Torian team. She's their lead female athlete. She was on that CrossFit Selwyn bunch. Time cap is 15 minutes. We are at the 5-minute mark. Remember, the split for the team that holds the lead right now is finishing this worm work at the 8:02 mark. 3 minutes from now.
But it looks like Pixel still has the event win right now, or the score to beat, I should say. They have cap. It's been corrected. It shows as cap 19 plus 19 reps now.
Originally cap 12, they are at cap plus 19 as the score to beat. So 19 reps remaining before they would have finished the work when time ran out.
Raw Iron moving to that one and dump. They abandoned the touch and go, but it got him a sizable lead. They're 6 reps ahead of Torian.
Raw Iron moving up and heading back to
40 strict handstand push-ups.
and doing so 2 minutes ahead of schedule.
Wow. And really, Joel, what we've seen is that you need time on that back end to get your athletes through the freestanding handstand push-ups. So right now, Raw Iron is setting themselves up well to have that time.
The difference being, I think for a team like Raw Iron, freestanding handstand push-ups have been at the individual competition at the CrossFit Games for a couple of years now. This is a team made up of people that have competed at the individual level. It's maybe a movement that is less foreign to them than if they have been team competitors. Maybe you should always be training the same things, but it's not something that's ever been in the arsenal at the team competition.
Right, but to that point, they just need the time once they get there. Once they get there, if they have the time, highly likely that they'll be able to get through those freestanding handstand push-ups.
Tara Saunders back up, real wide stance. And it's 8th Day, who was fired up yesterday. Finished 3rd at Farrington Field and is in 6th overall. Now look at the handstand push-ups and see where James Newberry puts his head. He forms that tripod. You're not trying to create a straight line from your hands to your head and back to your other hand.
Well, what you can see is as he presses, if he thinks about pushing his head through his arms, it actually makes it a little easier to finish the rep. You can see Cara almost kind of tips her head back and then sends it through. There's something about pressing that head through that makes it a lot easier to finish those reps.
So Oslo Pixel finished the second worm work at 8:02. Raw Iron is beginning the 3rd set of worm clean and jerks at 8:08.
Again, given enough time, this is a team that should be able to get a lot of their members, if not all of them, through those handstand push-ups, freestanding.
Raw Iron needs some help as well, because if Torian finishes right behind them, the win doesn't mean as much. They need to put as many people between themselves and Torian as possible to continue climbing up the leaderboard. And right now, Raw Iron's just out there cleaning this thing on their own. But again, it doesn't matter how much you win by if everybody else is all bunched together.
Right, right. I'm really impressed at how well this team looks on the worm. Again, these are 4 individual athletes, and this can often be where individuals get tripped up when they cross over to team competition. And they're doing a great job handling this earthworm.
And not only that, Andy, but it's a team that doesn't train together all the time.
Right.
They don't all live in the same place.
And that's where communication just becomes the most key element of this. 10 down, 10 to go. Final reps for Raw Iron on this earthworm.
As much as the super team has gotten hyped in recent years, the super team really hasn't been ultimately successful.
Right, exactly.
Right? When you look at who wins the CrossFit Games, it was always the Mayhem teams that trained out of Cookeville. Invictus last year was a team of 4 individuals that made a great unit.
Right.
Like, the team has always won, so 4 great individuals
does not always equal 1 great team.
It does for this group, though.
It does.
Five more minutes left to go before the time cap. No one has finished this event so far. This is the final of 3 heats. Got to keep in mind, this earthworm is 450 pounds.
Hand just went up in the air for raw iron. They have 4 reps left on the earthworm in just under 5 minutes.
This is earthworm power clean number 57.
Oh. Einhorn CrossFit right there, local boys and girls.
Danielle Dunlap looks like she wants to be anywhere else for 8th day CrossFit.
Final 2 reps here for raw iron.
Just 1 rep, Cara Saunders confirming with the judge.
Excellent.
So off to the freestanding handstand push-ups with 4 minutes to go. No one has completed this work so far in the first 2 heats. Emily DeRoy will go first. You must get all 5 reps before the rep counts.
Great save from Emily DeRoy. Oh, she's hit, she's done.
And she'll go to the back of the line, James Newberry. And this is where the height of James's hair really comes back to help.
Great save. You know, it's important to know that if you are on your head, if you're in that tripod position, you have a second. Look at Newberry. He took a second. 1 more rep to go. You can see him. Great saves. Great job from James Newberry. But that's what I meant at the beginning. Utilize that tripod. You can bring your knees even to your elbows, the backs of your arms right there to settle yourself.
How restful a position is that?
I think for these athletes, it really could be. You can actually take a breath right there. You can make sure that you're in a balanced position so that when you do that little kip you see Emily DeRoy doing right there, you're in a good position to go back into that handstand walk.
And Emily DeRoy is through the first set of 5.
2 athletes through.
No one else is on the freestanding handstand push-ups. Here goes Cara Saunders.
Important to note, either one of those athletes, James or Emily, can start on that final section. They don't need to wait.
I don't think it's a question of needing to wait for them.
Right.
Here goes James Newberry. This is one of those movements where no reps are unbelievably costly. You'd rather take the rest on the front end.
Right.
Look at Tola Maracchino on the left side of your screen. Peak 360 gaining ground.
Oh!
And Newberry fell
so
1
tough.
rep short. Still 2 minutes to go before the cap.
See Colin Porter working on his freestanding.
Only 1 athlete can work on each section at a time. Look at Maracchino fall off after 2. DeRoy.
Emily, first one to make it through for raw iron.
Emily DeRoy finishes.
90 seconds to get 1 or 2 more athletes through.
Jack Jeffries just rolled through in the red leader shorts. He'll reset for CrossFitorians.
Oh, you see Con down there chalking up the area around those final 2 headpieces.
This is big for Maracchino. Peak 360 needs to pick up points. In 5th place coming in, he has now surpassed Raw Iron Thunder, or at least equaled, because remember, DeRoy got through, but if Noah Olson finishes, Peak 360 is now in the lead. Can the women get through for Peak 360 with 45 seconds left? Matilda Garnis is on the last 5. Lena Richter's right behind her. No one has finished this event yet. Garnis has 3 reps. Richter has 5. She's got to wait for Garnis to finish to start.
One more. For Lena Richter. Oh, great save.
And Garnis is done.
So big for Peak 360.
Here comes Lena Richter with 20 seconds. They're going to win the event, but can they do it with ultimate flair? 10 seconds for Richter. Gotta go! Richter up! She's done! One team finishes. Inverted earthworm.
I have chicken skin. What a moment for Peak 360. This has been very emotional for Lena Richter and Matilda Barnes.
Hi, friend. What happened to you coming and finishing my
One of the teams that has worn emotion on their sleeves maybe more than anybody over the last couple of days. And Peak 360 comes from behind for the event win.
But it was Raw Iron CrossFit with their touch and go reps early on that earthworm that gave them a huge lead going over to the handstand push-up wall. They took that lead and then they kept that lead all the way through the rest of the event. Cara Saunders and James Newberry right there just hammering through those kipping handstand push-ups. Still doing the touch and go on the second set of earthworm cleans. They knew they needed some points to try to make up between them and CrossFit Torian. But it was Peak 360 that was able to overtake Raw Iron CrossFit and not only take the lead, but be the only team to complete the inverted earthworm. Like you said, Joel, it has been such an emotional ride for Peak 360, specifically for Matilda Barnes and Lena Richter. Just so emotional to see them do so well in this event.
Lauren Smith has Peak 360.
I do. Peak 360 standing here with me right now. Noah, you could see the emotion as you crossed the finish line. What was your initial thought?
Everybody has been experiencing, I think, a very similar roller coaster of emotions for the last few days. It comes in waves, it bubbles up, and there's a lot of sadness. It almost is, I feel a little guilty celebrating and treating this like a normal competition because we all know that it's different than any other competition that we've ever participated in, but I don't know. We're just doing the best we can. We're thinking about Lazar and the Đukić family and everything that we do, and we appreciate you guys staying here with us. We made the choice to stay. You guys made the choice to stay with us, and as a community, hopefully we can all heal together.
This is a team formed of 2 Europeans, 2 Americans. How's it come together in such a special way?
Yeah, that's obviously a huge sacrifice that these 2 amazing women made, moving to Miami, Florida, in the United States, all the way from Norway. Tola moved from within the United States, but I'm really grateful to them. It's been 8 months of us building that bond, trusting in each other. We wouldn't have been able to do what we just did if we didn't have that time to grow the way that we have. And just another thought with what has happened, it just makes me even more grateful that we have each other and that you guys have the people that are standing next to you. Just obviously be a little bit more appreciative of what you have while it's here.
Thank you, Noah. Thank you, guys.
Team Peak coming together big time over the last couple of months. They're a super team, but they have melded unbelievably well since the start of 2024. Individual Event 6 is coming your way next.
The 2024 CrossFit Games are presented by Rogue, Don't Weaken, the official equipment supplier of CrossFit and the CrossFit Games. Jocko Go and Jocko Mulk, hard work, clean fuel, no excuses. And Go Ruck, the official footwear and apparel partner of CrossFit and the CrossFit Games.